To properly fix your memory and focus and become a normal human being instead of having a very short attention span and not being able to memorize something that you've just read, well, you need to look at the root cause behind it. And believe it or not, most people have symptoms for ADHD. And ADHD can be one of the main reasons behind your short attention span and your ability to not be able to focus a lot and have a very strong memory. And I'm not labeling you with having ADHD for doing these, but what you gotta understand is that when it comes to ADHD, it's not binary. It's not that you have it or you don't. Almost everyone have it these days. And the reason they have it is because of the environment that people are living through. The stresses, the anxiety, the recent war that is going on. All of that plays a huge role into ADHD. And I'm going to explain to you how that works. A lot of scientists and health institutes, they say that ADHD is in the genetics or it's a brain disease. And this is utter nonsense. ADHD is a coping mechanism that your early version of yourself, your younger self, used to protect itself from stress. Before I get into the deep root behind that, I want to explain to you something very quickly. For me, I have ADHD, and every single friend that I've ever called a friend and hang out with and met, they have symptoms for ADHD. And again, ADHD is not binary. It's on a scale. How much of ADHD do you have? And one of the symptoms of the ADHD, or the most common symptoms of ADHD, can be daydreaming. So do you catch yourself dreaming a lot about a better version of yourself? You have achieved the goals that you want to achieve. You have proved those people wrong, that the naysayers. Maybe you bought your dream car, your dream watch, your dream house, you found your dream girlfriend. Do you catch yourself daydreaming a lot? This is a symptom. Do you find yourself caring so much about how you look? Do you care so much about what people think of you and how people see you? That's another symptom of ADHD. It's called body dysmorphia disorder, BDD. Another symptom of ADHD can be you not being able to be organized at all. Everything is all over the place. Your phone is extremely disorganized. Your desk, your house, your car, everything is disorganized. You may say no to this, and that's completely fine because you don't have to have all of them to have the other symptoms of ADHD. Another one is if you caught yourself, or if you remember when you were a child, you weren't able to really focus when you're in school. That's another symptom. There's a number of symptoms. What I'm trying to say here is that when it comes to memory and focus, and especially addictions, ADHD plays a huge role. I'm going to explain to you how it plays and how do you heal it. But before I do that, I want to explain to you something very, very important and very quick. But everyone needs to understand it because nowadays, so-called experts when it comes to ADHD, when it comes to brain science, they think that, it's in the genes. If your father or if your mother have ADHD, then you will have ADHD. And if you look at the data, it's most of the time true. If your parents have ADHD, you are most likely to have ADHD. But guess what? It's not because of the genes. It's because of trauma. And trauma goes from one generation to the other psychologically, not biologically. And it goes through one generation to the other because of how parents treat their children. The way parents treat their children is in similarity to how their parents treated them. Okay, let me explain that. When you were young, you probably, if you have any of the symptoms of ADHD, maybe you've been diagnosed with it, maybe not. But when you were very, very young, let's say 3, 4, 5 years old, have you been through a lot of stress? were your family unstable? Maybe your father left, or maybe something happened in the family that was very, very devastating or very stressful. Maybe there was an event that happened in the family or outside the family that affected you and made you very stressed. Now, when you're very young, when a human being faces a lot of stress, they either fight or flight. They either fight or they run away. Now, when you are young, when you're 3 or 5 years old, you can't do neither. If your parents are stressed all the time, and this is giving you a lot of stress, which it will when you're young because you're connected to your parents and you rely on them. So if they're stressed, you will probably become stressed too. So if you can't fight or flight, what your brain would do is that either it will fawn or it will freeze. Now, fawning, one of the side effects, or the long-term side effects of fawning, is you becoming a people pleaser. If you catch yourself saying yes all the time, even though that you want to say no, you're a people pleaser. And the reason you became a people pleaser, because throughout stressful situations in the past, your brain couldn't fight, it couldn't flight, so it fawned. Fawning means you losing the authenticity of who you are to fill out the attachment need. You gotta understand that. And I know that we're going on a little tangent, but this is very important for you to understand. If you're a people pleaser, you gotta understand that a human being, they need two things to stay alive. They need to be authentic to themselves, meaning they can listen to their gut and they know who they really are. And the second one is attachment, which is them knowing that there are people around them that they care for them. Now, when you're very stressed in your childhood, and your brain either phones or freezes. If it phones, phoning means you losing, or your unconscious brain deciding that let me lose my authenticity to gain the attachment of parents. A quick example of if love was conditional, you must get a high grade in university or in school to be loved, to be cared for, to be praised. You must be at top of your class. This is conditional love, which is wrong parenting, but this is conditional. Now, what your brain will do unconsciously, it will drop the authenticity of who you truly are. Maybe the subjects that you're learning in school is something that you don't like, but you're forced to learn them to get a high grade because you lost the authenticity of who you are, so that you can get the attachment that you need, so that your parents can love you because you rely on them, because attachment is a basic human need. Without it, we perish. Okay, that's one of the reasons you become a people pleaser, and this is one of the symptoms, long-term symptoms of fawning. So fight, flight, fawning, and freezing. Freezing creates ADHD. Let me explain to you. So when it comes to freezing, your brain can't fight, it can't flight, it can freeze. Now, when your brain freezes, it tunes out. Tuning out means your brain is kind of removing itself from the present moment and start imagining things or living in the imagination for a period of time, a short period of time, to protect itself. Because it can't fight, it can't flight. So it needs to remove itself from the stress. So it tunes out. Now, the problem with tuning out is that when you're young, millions of connections in your brain are happening in seconds. And this tuning out is happening while your brain is creating these connections and your brain is developing. And because you tune out while your brain is developing, it develops ADHD. So guess what? It's not genetics. If your parents have ADHD, that's because they were very stressed when they were young. And they're treating you the same way their parents treated them. So because your parents are very stressed, maybe one of the reasons because they have ADHD, but because of the life they're living, maybe financially they're stressed, whatever the case is, they're very stressed. So you are living through a very stressful situation when you were young. So what you would do, you would tune out to protect yourself. Okay. This is I know I said it's going to be a quick one about how ADHD, like the reality of ADHD, it's not in the genetics. Okay, but what does that have to do with memory and focus and addictions? Let me explain to you, and I promise this is going to be very quick when it comes to addictions. I said that ADHD is on a spectrum. It's not that you have it or you don't, like how much do you have it and how much intense the symptoms of it that you have. The more intense the symptoms of ADHD that you have, the more likely you are to be addicted to anything. The reason for this is because when you tune out, and your brain is developing at that point when you tune out, 4 circuits, among many others, in your brain gets very affected by that. The first one is your dopamine circuit. Dopamine is the chemical brain of anticipation. The second one is endorphins, the circuit of endorphin. Endorphin is the brain chemical of reward. It's the brain chemical of pain relief. The third circuit is the circuit of adrenaline. The adrenaline, similar to cortisol, it creates the feeling of stress. So I'm going to give you the example for adrenaline in a minute. The fourth circuit is the impulse control. Now, if you find yourself get stressed very easily, it's because your brain circuit of adrenaline did not develop correctly because of the tuning out that happened when you were a child. Another thing is that if you see yourself as unable to control your impulses, this is another reason because of behind your semi-developed or dysregulated brain circuit of impulse control. So the more these 4 circuits are underdeveloped because of the tuning out or other reasons, the more likely you are to be addicted to anything. And I'm saying anything. I'm not saying social media. I'm not saying video games. I'm not saying porn. I'm not saying hard drugs like heroin, meth, or maybe drinking, or maybe smoking, or maybe weed, or maybe any of that. Anything. Because you gotta understand that addictions, that any substance or behavior is not addictive by itself. A lot of people ate junk food, but they didn't get addicted to it. Yet there's a lot of people who are addicted to junk food. The same goes for smoking cigarettes. A lot of people tried smoking multiple times and they haven't got addicted to it. Other people, like myself, I tried cigarettes and I became addicted to it. The reason for this is because the substance itself is not enough to make you addicted to it. You need to somehow be ready or have the acceptance to be addicted to it. This acceptance means the level of stress that you're going through and the underdeveloped brain circuits that happened because of the stress that you went through in the past. And this stress created trauma. I know it's getting a little complicated. I'm trying to explain it as simple as possible. What you need to understand and what you need to get from this video is the following. If you want to fix your memory, if you want to fix your attention span and your focus, then you need to first find the root cause. A lot of people say that social media and short form content is the reason behind your short attention span. At a surface level, yes, but in reality, it's not. It's the ADHD, the symptoms of ADHD. And if you fix that, you won't have any need to go and use short form content, because again, short form content can give you pleasure, can give you attachment, and can give you escape for boredom. But this is another topic that I can leave for another video. What I want you to leave from this video is the following. If you want to improve your focus and if you want to improve your memory, find the root cause behind that. And the main root cause is the symptoms of ADHD. Okay, how do you fix this? Well, the step one for the solution is to become aware of it in the first place. Go to ChatGPT or to Google or anything. Type in every single symptom of ADHD and ask yourself, do I check 50% of the boxes, or maybe even more. Diagnose yourself. You don't have to go to a clinic, because they're going to start giving you drugs that will make you depressed in the long term. And a quick note about pharmaceutical companies. There are businesses. And let me tell you something. I've been running 4 businesses for the past 4 years. And there are 2 important key things when it comes to a business: new customers and retaining customers. You want to get new customers every single day, and the customers you already have, you need to retain them for as long as possible. And pharmaceutical companies operate in that aspect. They just want to maximize profits, and they want to increase their revenue as much as possible. They don't care about you. They don't care about your health. I said it. So you don't have to go to a clinic to diagnose yourself with ADHD, because they're going to give you a drug that you don't need, most probably. So what instead you need to do is just go to Google. Find the symptoms of ADHD. I've told you some of them. You're disorganized. You procrastinate a lot. You keep putting things off till the last minute. You care so much about how you look. BDD, body dysmorphia disorder. You have maladaptive daydreaming. You daydream a lot. When you were young, you were unable to focus a lot in the class. These are some symptoms of ADHD. So step one of the solution is to find yourself as, do I really have those symptoms, or some of them? That's the first one. The second one, you need to heal the stress that you went through, not the one you're going through. Maybe you're going through some stress right now. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the stress that you've been through when you were a child. And that stress made you tune out, made you freeze, then tune out. That event that made you feel stressed, it created a trauma in you. We need to heal that trauma. And this can be a completely separate video. I can create a completely separate video around. But just to give you the gist of it, we need to find the earliest memory that you felt stressed. Earliest memory. Once you find that, ask yourself, what beliefs do you have about yourself when that event happened? Beliefs can be, I'm not good enough, or I'm not wanted, or I should be perfect. I don't deserve to be good. I don't deserve to be liked. There's plenty of beliefs, faulty beliefs, that your brain created to protect you. And I can go into deep psychology behind beliefs and perceptions and paradigms. But just to give you the gist of it, once you find the earliest memory that created so much stress for you, you're not going to remember you're not going to remember yourself tuning out. You're not going to remember that. But what you can remember in your explicit memory, there are 2 types of memories, by the way, implicit, explicit. I'm not going to explain those. But in your explicit memory, you can remember the earliest memory that made you feel stressed. And once you feel that, you got to ask yourself and list down every single faulty belief that you have about yourself after that event happened. And once you become conscious, because it takes some work, you're making the unconscious conscious with this step. Because maybe for the first time, you're becoming conscious of those faulty beliefs that have been dictating your life, yet you called it fate. So once you become conscious of these beliefs, that they exist, now you need to become conscious of them dictating your life. How? Well, every time something happens in reality, or you imagine something, or you remember something that triggers these faulty beliefs, you'll feel stressed. You'll feel anxious. You'll feel lonely. You will have some sort of a bad emotion that you will feel. So something happens. Someone tells you something, or you remember something, or you imagine something. Something happens. This something triggers a faulty belief that you have. Once this faulty belief gets triggered, I'm not good enough, I'm not liked, no one likes me, whatever the case is, whatever faulty belief you have, when it gets triggered, you'll feel a bad emotion. Stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, not boredom, but stress, anxiety, 90% of the time is going to be these two feelings. You need to become conscious of this loop of something happens, triggers the belief, you feel anxious, or you feel stressed, or you feel a bad emotion. You need to become conscious of that. So that when you do something, let's say that you're in uni right now and you take an exam and you score 80 out of 100, and your parents tell you that you're not good enough, you should have done better, you should have got a 90, 95, 100. When they start saying this, guess what faulty belief that's going to trigger? I'm not good enough. I should be perfect. And by the way, if you're a perfectionist, it's probably because also of ADHD. But I'm not going to get into that. But when your parents tell you this about your exam, it's going to trigger the faulty belief of, I'm not good enough. This is going to give you the feeling of stress, of anxiety. And guess what? What are you going to do? Your brain now wants to soothe this bad emotion. So what does it do? It goes to the addiction that you have. Because people who are addicted, they're not addicted because of the substance or the activity itself. And they're not addicted because of the dopamine that it brings to them. They're addicted to it because they're self-medicating on it. It's helping them with something. It's soothing the bad emotions that they're feeling. And every time something from reality or imagination or memory triggers one of your faulty beliefs, they're gonna make you feel a bad emotion. So now your brain wants to soothe them. Where does it go? It goes to the thing that it learned from a very long time that it can give me the good feelings to soothe those bad emotions. And that's why you go to the addiction that you have. So 2 steps. The first one is understand that you might have ADHD, some of the symptoms. Second step, become aware of the loop. And to be able to become aware of this loop, you're going to remember the first ever event that you can remember that made you very stressed, and then list down all the faulty beliefs that you have and notice how they get triggered when something happens, or when you remember something, or when you imagine something. That's the best solution. That's 80% of it. Now, of course, it goes deeper than that. And if you're interested in learning more about that and actually solving that and healing yourself from trauma, stress, or addictions, then I invite you to check the link in the description. You can join my community of over 100 business owners who are actively either healed themselves from addictions or are actively healing themselves from addictions using my one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested, check the link in the description. And that's what I wanted to make the video about. A key thing that I want to leave you with is this lie that everyone believes in nowadays, that ADHD is a disease or it's in the genetics. It's not. And the most successful people when it comes to trauma and when it comes to addictions are saying what I'm saying. And I took that from them because I'm just some random 20-year-old guy. I'm 26, but what do I know compared to someone who's 80 years old who've helped hundreds of hard drug addicts and written bestseller books? I've learned that from them, and they say that what the scientists and what the health institutes say about ADHD is utter nonsense. And that was a message that is very important for you to understand. It doesn't come from genetics. It's not a brain disease, and addictions are not a choice. ADHD is a coping mechanism, and I explained it to you via how the brain freezes when it can't fight or flight. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.